Skol Vikings faithful, your hearts are about to be put through the ultimate emotional roller coaster. And trust us when we say you're not prepared for what's coming. Right now, as you're reading these words, the entire landscape of Minnesota Vikings football is shifting beneath our feet in ways that will leave you speechless, emotional, and completely fired up for what lies ahead. We're talking about a legendary Iron Man whose legacy just took on eternal meaning. A superstar receiver who's making moves that prove his championship hunger is real, and a defensive chess piece that could transform our already elite defense into something absolutely unstoppable. This isn't just news, Vikings faithful. This is the convergence of past, present, and future colliding in the most epic way possible. The purple and gold universe is experiencing seismic shifts that connect generations of greatness, and every single one of these developments will have you questioning everything you thought you knew about where this franchise is headed. We're talking about connections that span decades, leadership that's reaching new heights, and strategic moves that could define the next era of Vikings domination. But here's what's going to blow your mind. These three earth-shattering pieces of news are all interconnected in ways that will give you chills and make you believe that something truly special is brewing in Minneapolis. The timing isn't coincidental, Vikings faithful. The universe is aligning for something magical. Smash that like button. If you're ready for this emotional journey, drop a comment with your immediate reaction. And make sure you're subscribed, because what we're about to reveal will have you calling every Vikings fan you know. Are you ready to discover how a fallen legend, a committed superstar, and a potential game-changing acquisition are about to rewrite the entire narrative of Vikings football? Because what we're about to tell you about this defensive icon from our glorious past will have you understanding why everything happening right now feels like destiny calling. Jim Marshall, the name that just sent shockwaves through the very soul of Vikings faithful worldwide. The Iron Man of the Purple People Eaters, the man who defined what it meant to bleed purple and gold, has taken his final bow at age 87. And Vikings faithful, we're not just losing a player, we're losing a piece of our football DNA that can never be replaced. This isn't just about statistics or records. This is about the spiritual foundation of everything we believe Minnesota Vikings football represents. Marshall didn't just play for 20 seasons. He lived purple for 2 decades, making 270 consecutive starts that set the standard for what toughness looks like in the NFL. Think about that number. Vikings faithful. 270 straight games of showing up, suiting up, and representing our colors with the kind of heart that made other teams fear the very sight of our defense. But here's what's going to make you emotional beyond words. Marshall's 282 consecutive game streak stood as the gold standard until another Vikings legend, Brett Favre, broke it while wearing our jersey. Even in being surpassed, Marshall remained connected to Vikings greatness in the most poetic way possible. This man wasn't just part of the Purple People Eaters, he was the Purple People Eaters. 4 Super Bowl appearances, 130.5 career sacks, and 14 seasons as team captain. Because his teammates knew what we all knew. When you needed someone to represent the Viking way, you looked to Jim Marshall. And Vikings faithful. Here's the part that's going to hit you right in the feels. Despite that famous wrong way run in 1964 that people love to remember, Marshall turned that moment into fuel for a career that proved resilience defines champions. He never let one mistake overshadow 2 decades of excellence. And that's exactly the Minnesota way. But why is this news hitting us so hard right now? Because what's happening with our current team feels like Marshall's spirit is guiding us towards something incredible. And what we're about to tell you about our superstar receiver will prove that legends never truly leave. They just pass their torch to the next generation. And speaking of torches being passed, Vikings faithful, get ready to have your hearts exploded with pride, because Justin Jefferson is making moves that prove he's not just our superstar. He's becoming our spiritual leader in ways that would make Jim Marshall smile from above. For the first time since 2022, Jefferson showed up to OTAs, and Vikings faithful. This isn't just about contract security or routine workouts. This is about a man who understands that greatness requires sacrifice, leadership demands presence, and championship teams are built in May, not just September. But here's what's going to give you absolute chills. Jefferson didn't just show up on his own. The Vikings asked him to be there, and when our organization asks their biggest star to lead by example, that's when you know something special is brewing in the building. This is the kind of leadership that Jim Marshall embodied for 14 seasons as captain. And now we're watching Jefferson embrace that same responsibility. Yeah, I most likely was going to be here anyway, but for them to ask for me to be here. And, especially with JJ being our new quarterback, new guys on the team, new guys on our offense. So just being here with them and just making sure that the young guys are organized and they're knowing what was going on. Did you hear that, Vikings faithful? Jefferson isn't just thinking about his own preparation. He's thinking about everyone. He's making sure the young guys are organized. He's building connections with JJ McCarthy, and he's setting the tone for what this season is going to look like. This is the same mentality that Marshall brought to every huddle, every practice, every moment when the team needed someone to step up and show them what Vikings football means. Jefferson understands that being great isn't enough. You have to lift everyone around you to greatness. And Vikings faithful, when Jefferson talks about building that connection with his quarterback and understanding what this year is going to look like, you can feel the championship hunger radiating through every word. This is a man who's fully invested, completely locked in, and ready to lead this team to heights we haven't seen since those Marshall days. But hold on to your purple jerseys, because what we're about to reveal about a potential defensive game changer is going to connect all these dots in a way that will have you believing this could be the year everything comes together. Vikings faithful, prepare to have your minds absolutely blown, because the final piece of this incredible puzzle involves a defensive chess piece that could transform our already elite defense into something that would make the ghost of Jim Marshall and the Purple People Eaters absolutely proud. Jaylen Ramsay, the shutdown corner who could be heading our way from Miami. And Vikings faithful, this isn't just about adding talent to an already loaded secondary. This is about Brian Flores getting his hands on a defensive weapon that can play corner, safety, slot, and anything else our defensive mastermind can imagine. Jason McCourty put it perfectly. Jaylen Ramsay is so talented and can play so many positions, slot, safety, corner. I think that would be a ton of fun if you could see Brian Flores using him as a chess piece and moving him all around, getting him to blitz and do different things to show all of the talents that he has. Can you imagine what Ramsay could do in Flores' defense, Vikings faithful? We're talking about a player who can literally be moved around like a chess piece, creating matchup nightmares for opposing offenses while giving us the kind of defensive versatility that championship teams are built on. And here's the connection that's going to give you absolute goosebumps. Kevin O'Connell already has familiarity with Ramsay, which means this move isn't just possible, it's probable. When you combine Ramsay's elite talent with our coaching staff's knowledge of how to use him, plus the leadership foundation that Jefferson is building on offense, we're looking at a team that's constructing something truly special. Think about this. Vikings faithful. We have Jefferson showing up early, taking leadership seriously, and building chemistry with JJ McCarthy. We have a defense that was already one of the best units in football last season. And now we potentially have Ramsay joining the mix as the ultimate defensive Swiss Army knife. This is exactly the kind of veteran leadership and elite talent that Jim Marshall would have thrived alongside back in the Purple People Eaters era. We're not just building a team, we're building a legacy that honors our past while charging toward our championship future. The pieces are all falling into place, Vikings faithful. Marshall's spirit of toughness and consistency, Jefferson's leadership and commitment, and potentially Ramsay's game-changing versatility. This is how championship rosters are constructed. Hit that like button. If you can feel something special brewing, drop a comment with your thoughts on this incredible convergence of past and present. And make sure you're subscribed because this is just the beginning of what could be the most exciting Viking season in decades. Vikings faithful, as we honor the memory of Jim Marshall and everything he represented, we're watching a new generation of leaders like Jefferson step up and embrace the responsibility of carrying this franchise forward. And with potential additions like Ramsay, we might just be witnessing the formation of something truly magical in Minneapolis. Can you feel it, Vikings faithful? Can you sense that championship energy building with every practice, every commitment, and every strategic move? Because if this is what June looks like, imagine what January could bring.